Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're gonna take a quick look at one of those 90s DOS shareware discs. Not any 90s DOS shareware disc, but this one to be precise. Ah, that hurt. Did that hurt you? Because it hurt me. Don't do that to your discs. That's cruel and unusual treatment. Anyway, if you've got any interest in that, stick around till after the intro. Now, I didn't pick up this disc by accident, far from it. I'm on a quest. A quest to find a treasure from my childhood that is much better hidden than I would have expected. So before we start, I'm gonna give you a quick description of what I'm looking for, and maybe my viewers can help me find it, all 29 of them. I am looking for a DOS shareware disc from the 90s, which came with a little booklet. Inside you would find a screenshot of the games with a short description next to it. I want to say there were about 100, but I'm not sure. Here's a short list of games I still remember. Possibly, or even probably, it was only released in Germany, so there's that. So, if against all odds you happen to have any information on this, it would sure be appreciated. So let us then return to our regularly scheduled program. Still hurts, doesn't it? On loading the CD, you will be greeted by the CDV splash screen. CDV was a German software publisher and lasted from 1989 to 2010. They put out some of my favorite games in big boxes, like this, and this, and this one. Now, any one of you who had the pleasure of dealing with these discs back in the day probably knows that the games are only half the treasure. In all likelihood, your disc would come jam-packed with different materials like slideshows and other weird shit. Most of them wouldn't even have music. They would just be slideshows of screenshots. While we're here, take a look at the Raptor screenshots on the bottom left. Do you remember the jungle with the temple in it? Because I sure don't. Anyway, some of the others were music shows, and you gotta love those. Other than that, you could find a whole bunch of ads about other shit the company in question tried to sell you. And then of course, there were the games. I'm just gonna take a quick look at 3 of those because they have a special place in my heart. The first of these games is Scorched Earth. It's basically Tank Wars on crack. When it was released in 1991, there simply wasn't a better artillery game around. This game had a ton of features and it was being updated till 1995. You had a few different types of tanks and a whole range of weapons and other gadgets. But the real selling point was the huge amount of customization. You could control the terrain, the wind and the weather. You could make meteors strike or lightning. You could even edit the text message files of your computer opponents, making them insult your friends. This game is a blast in multiplayer, and you should give it a try. I really have no complaints about this one, other than maybe the fact that he remembers the last weapon that was fired, leading to a lot of unintentional suicide. The next game I want to talk about is Halloween Harry, or Alien Carnage as it is also known. Now, if I'm quite honest, this game is a little bit shit. But I loved it back in the day because I really enjoyed the graphic style. You use a jetpack to fly around the levels and you kill everything you see. You also need to rescue some ladies from those evil aliens. That wouldn't be so bad if the levels were in such a mess. You run around like a maniac to find all of those hostages. And to make matters worse, you're being put on a timer, because the developers were just assholes that way. It also doesn't help that the enemies respawn and your flamethrower and jetpack use the same fuel source. What really took me for a trip down memory lane was when I wasn't able to leave the first room of the game. You know you've got some quality game design on your hand when that happens. And when I was a little kid, I had the same fucking problem. Good times. Good times. Now if you want to check the game out in its full glory and are one of those guys who care about copyright, then you're in luck, because this game has been made freeware in 2007. While this is certainly not the most refined game, you can't complain when it's for free, can you? And here it is, the third game, Hugo's House of Horrors. It is the first of 3 adventure games in the Hugo trilogy. Technically there was a 4th game, Nightmare 3D, but it is a Wolfenstein clone. The first 3 games are reminiscent of great adventure classics like Space Quest, King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry. In true classic adventure style, all inputs are made via the text parser at the bottom, while you control your movement with the arrow keys. While I don't much like the second and third installment, the first one is a true classic to me. All the puzzles are more or less straightforward and the game is short, to the point where you can beat it in about 15 minutes if you know what you're doing. In my humble opinion, this game only has 2 great shortcomings, the first of which is that it is quite tricky to end. To those of you interested in that little odyssey, just watch the video to its very end. The second just comes with the territory, as the text parser is sometimes exceedingly specific. So, for all of those who were wondering, it is not a carpet, but a rug, and you need to look under it. Much like with women during the 60s. By the way, don't you just love a game that knows its curse words? So, if you count yourself among adventure friends, know what you're getting yourself into, and have somehow missed it, you should get it now. And with these kind words, I bid you goodbye until the next time. If you happen to enjoy this video, here are a few more of mine for you to watch. In other news, you've probably noticed the measly amount of views my videos get. So, if you haven't done your good deed for today, feel free to promote the shit out of my stuff. Thank you. If you're still here at this point, you probably have no life, or you are really wondering what I was talking about before. So, here you go, and you can rest assured that I still have no clue how to end the game properly.